Wow, bald eagle.
Hello, everyone. This is JB Eagle, and I'm here for my third TV series review. The last series I reviewed was Big Hero 6, the series. The one I'm reviewing with you today is The Simpsons. This is the longest running TV series that's been airing for many years. To start off, cue the music.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, and sing.
The story. Starting off the story of this series. This long-running animated comedy focuses on the eponymous family in the town of Springfield in an unnamed U.S. state. The head of the Simpson family, Homer, is not a typical family man. A nuclear plant employee, he does his best to lead his family, but often finds that they are leading him. The family includes loving blue-haired matriarch Marge, troublemaking son Bart, overachieving daughter Lisa, and baby Maggie. One thing I like in this series are the jokes. For starters, are the jokes that are cracked up. That was priceless. The animation. Let's check the animation. The original voice of Homer on the Tracy Ullman Show and the beginning of the first season was inspired by Walter Matthau, as the original sketch of Homer had a large overbite. However, Dan Castellaneta dumbed him down and said, "My jaw would go out, my neck would go in, and then my IQ would drop about 70 points." Series creator Matt Groening sketched out the original drawings for the Simpson family in a matter of a few minutes while sitting outside producer James L. Brooks's office. The idea was that each family member had to be instantly recognizable by his silhouette. When looking at Homer from the side, one can see that the zigzag of his hair forms an M, while his ear forms the G. The show's creator and animator, Matt Groening, has stated that his initials appear in any animation of Homer Simpson. Season 1, Episode 13, Some Enchanted Evening, was originally going to be the season premiere. However, at the Gracie Film Studios screening, James L. Brooks said of the animation, "This is shit," which cleared the room and created a heated argument with Claudio Supo, animation studio head Gaber Supo, who countered with, "Maybe this shit isn't funny." An estimated 70% of the episode had to be redone, which had several knock-on effects. There was major concern the show would be cancelled if the next episode, Season 1, Episode 2, Bart the Genius, came back in a similar state. Luckily it did not. Season 1, Episode 1, Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire, was now to be the season premiere, which in turn meant the show could not debut on Fox until December. And what's more, the reordering of the air dates meant that Santa's Little Helper, who now debuted as the first episode, was mysteriously absent throughout most of the remainder of the season, including this episode. There is also a noticeable difference between the old and new animation. Perhaps most notably the scene where Marge is getting ready in front of the bedroom mirror talking to Lisa about Homer's dance scene. Marge is hugely off-model and would be unrecognizable under normal circumstances. The delay had at least one positive effect, however. It allowed time for Hank Azaria to overdub the original voice track for Moe, and by season 2, Azaria had become a regular member of the cast. 7 years later, when Brooks and Supo were both on stage accepting an Emmy for The Simpsons, Brooks jokingly whispered in his ear, "Maybe this shit isn't funny." The joke was taken in good humor, as Supo had long since admitted he was wrong about the whole affair. The animation in the series became noticeably more sophisticated and fluid after the first season. What also changed after the early episodes was Homer's voice, which was made higher pitched and less intelligent sounding than it initially was. Chief Wiggum's hair color and Smithers' skin color. He is black in his first appearance but became yellow/Caucasian in all future appearances. Early episodes also have a slightly different opening credit sequence. When the radioactive rod falls in Homer's back, a man is seen eating a sandwich in the background who is later replaced by a worker handling a rod. After Homer tosses the radioactive rod into the street, Bart is seen skateboarding, but we do not see any recognizable characters in the streetscape as we do later. The skateboard sequence ends by showing a group of generic townspeople running after a bus. We then see Lisa riding home on her bike, overloaded with school books, parking it in the garage just before Homer's car pulls into the driveway, after which the credits continue as usual. The character of Hans Moleman appeared a few times in various background scenes before making his first speaking appearance in Season 2, Episode 14, Principal Charming. At this point, his name as shown on a driver's license was Ralph Mellish, a variation of the Ralph Melhuish character from Monty Python's Flying Circus. His appearance provoked quite a stir among the writers because he was written as a generalized old man part, but he came back from the animators, in the words of creator Matt Groening, looking like a shriveled potato. Then they ended up jokingly referring to him as Moleman and eventually giving him the permanent name of Hans Moleman. According to DVD commentary, Some Enchanted Evening was originally intended to be the pilot for the series and ended up as the finale for Season 1 due to the poor animation and quality of the episode that displeased the creators. Matt Groening called it the show that almost killed The Simpsons. If you compare the animation quality and style of the episode, you'll notice it matches the quality and style of the first few episodes of the first season as compared to the last episodes leading up to it. The animation quality was improved as compared to the original version by up to 70% and officially aired as the season finale. Animation company Klasky Csupo was responsible for the animation production starting with the shorts on The Tracy Ullman Show and the series until 1992 when they were replaced with Film Roman. Company head Gaber Csupo didn't want Gracie Films to send in their own producer to oversee the animation, and Gracie Films wasn't happy with Csupo's chosen producer. The Simpsons is one of the last American primetime animated series to be produced with traditional ink and paint coloring. Digital ink and paint was experimented with in Radioactive Man, Tennis the Menace, and Treehouse of Horror 8, but a permanent switch from cell coloring to digital coloring wasn't made until The Great Louse Detective. Dan Castellaneta designed the character Artie Ziff. The characters. Now on to the characters. For starters, there's Homer J. Simpson. He is an overweight, lazy, and ignorant man, but is strongly devoted to his wife and children. Despite his flaws and his below-average intelligence, he has shown moments of great intellect and intelligence as well as being a loving father and husband at times. Next, there's Marge, who is the well-meaning and extremely patient matriarch of the Simpson family. With her husband, she has 3 children, Bart, Lisa, and Maggie. Marge is the moralistic force in her family and often provides a grounding voice during her family's antics by trying to maintain order in the Simpson household. Bart is a student of Springfield Elementary School and is Homer and Marge's eldest son and the older brother of Lisa and Maggie. He is mischievous, rebellious, and a troublemaker who likes skateboarding and pulling pranks in school, church, or everywhere in Springfield. Lisa is a little girl genius who sees herself as a less misfit within her family due to her knowledge. She loves animals and becomes a vegetarian. Though she is only a child, she behaves like a grown woman due to her intelligence. Now the final character I'm going to address is Maggie. She is the youngest child of Marge and Homer and the adorable and beautiful baby sister to Bart and Lisa. She is often seen sucking on her pacifier, and when she walks, she trips over her clothing and falls on her face. Because she cannot talk, Maggie is the least seen and heard in the Simpson family. Several recurring characters are spoofs for former or current celebrities: Arnie Pie, Ernie Pyle, Bumblebee Man, Roberto Gomez Bolaños, based on his Chapulin, Colorado character, Drederick Tatum, Mike Tyson, Mariah Quimby, Mariah Shriver, Mayor Quimby, John F. Kennedy, Mrs. Quimby, Jacqueline Kennedy, Judge Constance Harm, Judge Judy Shaindlin, Judge Judy, Rainer Wolfcastle, Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is made obvious in season 14, episode 9, The Strong Arms of the Moth. Presumably the motive of that episode is bodybuilding. An interesting note, in the series, the character Rainer Wolfcastle is based on Arnold Schwarzenegger, yet in the Simpsons movie, the president is Arnold Schwarzenegger, dropping the guise of Rainer Wolfcastle. That makes Arnold one of the only celebrities on the show to have a parody character and their real-life counterpart, even though Schwarzenegger didn't provide his voice to either. Many of the people and places on this show are named after cities, streets, and landmarks in Oregon, specifically Portland. Springfield is a medium-sized city in Lane City, which is home to monuments and museum exhibits of the characters, and has a restaurant called Moe's Tavern, named after the animated one, near its downtown. Many character names, Flanders, Lovejoy, Terwilliger, etc., are streets in Portland. Matt Groening grew up in Portland. Eugene, the third largest city in Oregon and one of the state's great centers of education and performing arts, was founded by a man named Eugene Skinner and thus has several landmarks with Skinner in the name. Eugene and Springfield are adjacent to each other, and at one point the border between the two cities is so vague that visitors to the region are sometimes unaware as to whether they are in Eugene or Springfield. Burns is a city in Central Oregon. Sideshow Bob is voiced by Frasier star Kelsey Grammer. In Season 8, Episode 16, Brother from Another Series, Cecil, Sideshow Bob's brother, is featured and is voiced by David Hyde Pierce, who played Frasier's brother, Niles. Cecil also mentions Maris, Niles' never-seen wife, which is said ironically since Bart is covering Cecil's eyes. They later completed the joke in Season 19, Episode 8, Funeral for a Friend, in which Dr. Robert Terwilliger Sr., father to Bob and Cecil, is voiced by John Mahoney, who played Frasier's father. Homer is the only character to have dialogue in every episode. While Marge and Lisa also appear in every episode, Marge doesn't have any dialogue in Krusty Gets Cancelled, Season 4, Episode 22, and Lisa doesn't have any dialogue in Chief of Hearts, Season 21, Episode 18. Bart doesn't appear in Four Great Women and a Manicure, Season 20, Episode 20. The name of Bart's principal, Seymour Skinner, is said to be taken from behavior specialist B.F. Skinner, but it could also be from the founder of Eugene, Oregon, which is the city adjacent to Springfield, Oregon, and has numerous monuments and landmarks with Skinner in the name. Harry Shearer claims his idea for the voice of the principal was partially based on Charles Kurlaut. Bender, the robot from Futurama, appeared in Season 14, Episode 3, Bart vs. Lisa vs. the Third Grade, and Season 11, Episode 15, Missionary Impossible, with other Fox Network characters. He made a speaking appearance in Season 16, Episode 15, Future Drama, as well as Season 26, Episode 6, Simpsorama. Mr. Burns was inspired by the famous William Randolph Hearst and the lesser-known Olav Thon, a Norwegian businessman who, when Matt Groening was young, reportedly took over a couple of industries in his town and shut them down, leaving many people without work. Burns is also the name of a Central Oregon city. Overall, I really liked this series. It had some likable characters, a good setting, and hanging plot. My ranking for the series is a plain gold star. So that's it for my review. Stay tuned for other reviews and see you next time.